समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. So here we had left it last time at that the teacher is saying that to evolve in perfection, to evolve in sadhana, there are some important disciplines that one must follow. And unless you follow those disciplines, you cannot rise, you cannot perfect yourself. And those disciplines, so then what are those disciplines and how to achieve them? So, as I told you, that Geeta is a handbook of instructions, and instructions which help you to follow your goal or to reach your goal. Because just showing you the goal without instructions of the path or how to reach it, what to do to arrive at that place, is useless. So here the next verse gives you five instructions, important instructions, and here, see, I will read the verse. This is verse number 5. It's a very, very important verse. In fact, the next two verses, this one and the next one, are very, very deep. And one should also, Gurudev, you know what he said? I'm reading what he said, what I have written in my book. First, let me read the verse. निर्माण मोहाजित संग दोषा अध्यात्म नित्या विनिवृत्त कामाः द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्ता दुख सुख दुःख संज्ञैर् गच्छन्ति मूढ़ा पदमव्ययम् तत्. Now, Gurudev said, first do this, that means these things, all these things that are in this verse. He said, first do these and then read the rest of the chapter. Otherwise, he said, it will be only words to you. You will understand nothing. So, unless and until you do these, you do not become an adhikari, as it is called. Adhikari, to follow the path of spirituality, because these are the ones that give you the push to take off. These are the ones that give you the energy in your sadhana that is required. So these are very, very important. They are actually six, they are not five, they are six. Now these six sadhanas, इनमें देखिए क्या क्या है. We've just done them. Nirman moha, ये दो हैं. But they are written as one. Nirmana. Man is pride, and Nirman, giving up pride or with no pride. And also with no moha. Moha is delusion. Delusion. I'll just do these first. Let me just do word by word. Then, Jit Sanga Dosha. This phrase comes, I don't know how many times in the Gita. Again and again and again. It is that win over attachment, win over the dosha of attachment. Sang is called attachment, and sang ek dosh hai. Okay. Now adhyatma nitya, that means you have to study not only the world of objects outside, not only your scriptural texts, but study your own self every single day. Nitya. Nitya means every day, daily. I'm giving you the basic meanings for Vinivritta Kamaha. Vinivritta Kamaha, that means when you slowly give up all desires. Now, do you realize how each one is so difficult? Each one is very, very difficult. So, vinivritta kamaha, nivritti जानते हैं? Nivritti means बिल्कुल खत्म करना. uh, right to the dregs, right to the tail end, to finish desire, desire of all kinds. Dvander vimuktaha. Dvander vimukta sukha dukha sangye. That means sukh dukh is also dvand. Okay? And be free of that kind of mukta. Mukta, dvand se mukta, dvander vimukta. मुक्त होना और विमुक्त होना. विमुक्त होना मीन्स completely free of pleasure and pain, happiness and sorrow. Hmm? This sounds like a dead man because no human being can be like this. How can you be like this? You know, you it doesn't happen. So any ordinary human being will say that no, this cannot be done. अच्छा सुख दुख संज्ञ gachanty mudha padama vyayam tata. So Krishna says that this is the place where I reside. I means the supreme truth, the pure consciousness. This is the address of pure consciousness. And he says that gachanta mudha padama vyayam tata. So he says that देखो इसका ट्रांसलेशन पढ़ते हैं. Free from pride and delusion, victorious over the evil of attachment, dwelling constantly in the self, their desires having completely retired, freed from the pairs of opposites such as pleasure and pain, the undeluded reach that goal eternal. Eternal means that it never ends. Once you reach there, it is a permanent place. There is neither change in it nor a return from it. That is why it is called eternal. So, Padamam Vyayam Tata. So, that is my Parampad. And you effortlessly glide into that state spontaneously if you are able to do these things. See, Gurudev used to say that these are the five, he used to compare it to a radio. These days, you don't have those kind of radios where you have to tune the needle to a certain frequency. In our time, in Gurudev's time, it was like that the radio had a needle. And by turning the knobs, you had to change the frequency and tune up to a certain wavelength to get a station. ठीक है ना? And those were the days when that needle used to sometimes become faulty and it would not glide smoothly. So sometimes you would get a station which was full of disturbance and you did not know how to fine tune it. So the moment you would move it a little this side, it would change to another station. You move it a little that side, it would change to another station. If you keep it in the middle, there will be disturbance. So all that. So he says that you have to be in control of these six knobs and tuned in absolutely correctly to receive the station of this higher reality. So, all these are knobs which help you to connect to that station. And you have to leave the station of OET. OET means objects, emotions, and thoughts. You have to free yourself from objects, emotions, thoughts. How can you do that? You live in a world of objects, emotions, and thoughts. Thoughts are right inside you, emotions are right inside you, objects are all around you. So you are swimming in a sea which they are asking you that you should not be wet even with a drop of that sea. Think about it. It's a very difficult suggestion, but it is not that it is not reachable. It is not that you cannot do it, but you have to tame and discipline your mind to catch the correct and highly subtle knobs station of this reality. The teacher has reached there. Okay, the teacher who's teaching, uh, that is Krishna. I'm talking about Krishna. The teacher who's teaching is already there. So, but somebody who has not experienced something, how can you explain that thing to that person? That person has to lift himself higher and higher to come to some reach near the teacher where he can gain from the teacher as to what the teacher is trying to say. So that is why these are called preparatory disciplines. Unless and until you do these, you cannot see. Even classical dancing, any classical dance, whether it is Indian classical or it is ballet or which whatever form of classical dance, they put you through rigorous exercises in the beginning. Almost 1 year, they teach you no dance, they just make you do all kinds of exercises to condition your limbs and your muscles to be able to bear those poses of the classical dance. ठीक है ना? But the student generally gets restless that when are you going to teach me dancing? He says, well, these first condition your body, mind, and intellect to take the teaching, to receive the teaching. Otherwise, I can teach, but you will not receive. Okay? So this is how it is. Now, Nirman Moha, Nirman. Nirman is free from pride and free from Moha. Moha is delusion. Dekho, please understand, this is a very interesting thing. Pride is a false, exaggerated idea about yourself. That is pride. It is a foolish idea. But pride comes, generally, it comes when other people are full of admiration for you, full of adulation for you, and you start believing in that. It may be right or wrong or whatever, but you start, your ego fattens up. You begin to think, I am something great. You think that I am doing something great. I am very capable. I am very skilled, intelligent, or whatever. The people are praising you for something or the other, and you start believing that. That is an exaggerated version of what you are. You might be capable, you might be good at things, but आपको एक exaggerated idea हो जाता है, which is a false idea about yourself. ठीक है? Now, moha is also a false idea. Moha is delusion. Delusion is judging outer things, misjudging, let us use that word, misjudging outer things to be what they are not. We all live in a world of delusion because whatever we see and whomever we meet and whatever they say gets filtered through our mind and then reaches us. तो आपको क्या दिखता है? You see a colored world. You see a world that is colored by your likes and dislikes, your ideas of good and bad, your ideas of nobility, narrowness, and baseness, your own ideas of what is superior, what is inferior, your own ideas of what is civilized and uncivilized, good manners and bad manners, and you start judging people around you through that lens. Now, that is a faulty lens because there is no one standard of good or bad. There is no one standard of why a person should do or not do a thing, or think or not think, or what. See, what is good and what is bad, even the standards of beauty. Somewhere the standard of beauty is a very thick lower lip. Somewhere the standard of beauty is a white skin, somewhere it is a dark skin, somewhere the idea of beauty is very small feet, like in China. When a child was a child, they used to make them wear iron shoes, so that the foot of that girl remains that little small, because that was doesn't grow. You are deforming the child, you're stopping the growth of the child, but that was considered as beauty. In some places they used to wear an iron belt, thick iron belt around the waist, so that the whole body grows but the waist remains that of a child, because that was the idea of beauty. But see, these ideas are not everywhere in the world, na? Everywhere the standard of beauty is different, so how do you judge beauty? Somewhere large eyes, somewhere small eyes, somewhere this or that, or wow, all kinds of things. No, so here, uh, so moha, outside world, when you judge through your filtered mind, will produce delusion, because it is the wrong idea of the world. Somebody said something to you, that person may not have meant what you have understood that that person said. It happens very often, and then misunderstandings occur. So the misunderstanding of outer situations is called delusion. So this is a erroneous estimate of the outer world. Okay, now होता क्या है कि we are constantly judging outside people, and also हम लोग अपने pride में रहते हैं कि जो हम सोच रहे हैं वही सही है. What we think or what we say is right, and we are firm in that. We believe in that. So दोनों चीजें, pride and delusion. But unless and so what happens is, since we are all the time into this, we the we have no time to correct ourselves, and we have no clear vision to correct ourselves, because हम अपनी pride में रहते हैं, and we are not able to see the point of view of other people, and all this error in judgment is called delusion. So nirman moha, पहले तो यही खत्म करना है, which is very difficult, mind you. Then जित संग दोषा, आहा, ये तो भैया सबसे ज्यादा मुश्किल. जित संग दोषा, win over, be victorious over the evil of attachment. That is the translation. With the evil of attachment conquered, है ना. अब टेक्स्ट में तो यही ट्रांसलेशन है. तो देखो, ऐसा है कि वी आर अटैच टू सो मेनी थिंग्स इन द वर्ल्ड. लोग कहते हैं कि हम तो डिटैच हो रहे हैं, हमने आज से ये छोड़ दिया, हमने आज से वो छोड़ दिया. इट विल नेवर हैपन. Haven't you seen many people given up drinking, go back to drinking, given up smoking, go back to smoking, given up sweets, they have gone back to sweets? ये तो छोटी छोटी बातें हैं. Bigger things are even more difficult, है ना. So detachment doesn't happen, it will never happen, Gurudev used to say, unless you attach to the supreme being. Unless and until you attach to the higher, you cannot give up the lower. This was what Gurudev always used to say, and he used to give an example of the ladder. Unless and until you put your foot on the higher rung of the ladder firmly, you cannot lift your foot from the lower rung of the ladder. But once you are firmly established on the upper rung of the ladder, you can easily lift your foot from the lower one. Isn't that so? So it is attach to detach. You cannot detach and then attach. वो नहीं हो सकता. देखो, another example that was given of this thing is a child who's picked up a beautiful, very expensive crystal on your table, because crystal radiates light, isn't it? Light passes through crystal, and it looked fascinating to the child. The child has picked it up. Oh my God, the moment the mother sees it, she knows that the child tries to bite it and then the child throws it. And once the child throws it back on the floor, it'll all splinter. So, if the mother just goes and tries to snatch it from the child's hand, the child will never give it up. It will pull it back and then up and down, and then the crystal will fall and break. Another reaction, if the mother says, "Oh God," the child will immediately drop it. And the moment the child drops it on the floor, it's gone. है ना? So, so how does the intelligent mother take it? The intelligent mother takes another object, a soft toy, which is very colorful, which makes sounds, and slowly, slowly comes with that towards the child, making the sounds, showing the colors or lights coming out of it, and all that. So the child starts looking at that toy, and then slowly the mother takes it out of the hand of the child and gives the child that toy. So the child attaches to the toy and gives up the crystal easily. Got it? Now, that example is really amazing because unless and until you find something which gives you a higher joy, you will not give up the lower. So, this is the trick of, of giving up the lower. Vairagyam evam abhayam. जब आपको वैराग्य हो जाता है किसी चीज से, then you are not afraid to lose that thing, isn't it? Isn't it? Only till the time that you are attached to that thing, you have the fear of losing it. So, attachment and fear are related. Both of them are highly related things. Anything, any object, any human being, any relationship, anything at all, you can, if you fear, if you are attached to it, you will have the fear of losing it. So attachment and fear go together. अगर वैराग्य हो जाता है उस चीज से, you get abhaydan. Abhaydan means you stop having the fear of losing it. So long as you are clinging to something, holding it preciously dear to your heart, सारा दुख दर्द है कि कोई ले न जाए, कोई छीन न ले, it is mine, I should get it. The moment you drop it from your mind, कि okay, let anybody take it, how does it matter, मुझे नहीं चाहिए, that thing loses its value for you. Once it loses its value for you, you are free. You are free of that fear of losing, you are free of that object. सोच के देखो, suddenly you become free. Suddenly you become free. You feel free. Okay. तो देखो ऐसा है कि जब तक ये आप छोड़ोगे नहीं ना, दिस थिंग ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट्स, एंड यू फील दैट द आउटर वर्ल्ड is full of the joys of life, and unless and until I get this, I won't be happy. Unless I get that, I won't be happy. This and my only joy that I know of, it belongs to that object. Gurudev used to say the objects are totally innocent. They can give you no joy. They have no joy in themselves, so they cannot give you any joy. The joy arises out of your own mind because you have put value on that object. You are the only one. Tell me, a very beautiful diamond, very expensive diamond, has value for you? Supposing there is some child playing or anybody who doesn't know anything about a diamond, he sees that, he'll think it's a glass. And he might think it's a broken glass lying here, let me throw it in the bin. And he goes and throws it in the bin. Why? Because he has no value attached to that. It is a piece of carbon. Who has attached the value? You. Similarly, everything in this world, believe me, every single thing in this world, you attach the value to it, and that is why it makes you dance. That is why it makes you jump up and down. That is why it takes the sleep away from your eyes, because you have attached so much of value to that thing. कि फिर अच्छा, the world of objects goes on changing, your mind goes on changing. तो आपको कौन नचा रहा है? Tell me. Anything that you attach yourself to, वो आपको नचाएगी. It is going to make you dance up and down, because you have attached yourself to it. ठीक है ना? अच्छा, हर वक्त हम लोगों का ये होता रहता है, ever dwelling in the self. Now this is what one has to do. Ever dwelling in the self. Okay. Detachment from the world of objects is never possible without attaching. This we have done. This we have done. I've given you 2 3 examples, 2 10. And but एक बात समझ लीजिए, when you get vairagya, if at all you get it, if at all you get it, when you get vairagya from the things of the outer world, your mind becomes very, very peaceful suddenly. And the joy starts emanating from your own self. You are happy with yourself, you are happy by yourself, you are happy sitting alone at home. You don't need anybody's company to fulfill yourself. You don't need to do something to fill your time. You are just deeply happy within yourself. Okay. Now, when that kind of a thing start, then it is called ever dwelling in the self. Because, but what happens is that complete detachment brings so much of peace, but the mind cannot stay with that peace all the time. The mind will come up with something or the other. And what happens is that when your mind comes up with something or the other, then it all that peace is disturbed, and your mind is immediately directed towards that object of thought, that object of thought. And you go on thinking, ठीक है ना? And once you go on thinking about it, then since the mind cannot remain in a vacuum, understand that is the nature of the mind. The mind cannot remain in a vacuum. So the moment with vairagya that vacuum comes, it is very, very necessary that you fill that vacuum. And with what do you fill that vacuum? You fill that vacuum with the thoughts of the Lord, the thoughts of the reality. Turn that mind inward and start contemplating on the fact that what is it that is charging my thoughts? What is it that is enabling my thoughts? So then hota kya hai? As the desire, so the thoughts. Now you see their desires completely at rest. ये जो है ना, इसको कर रही हूँ मैं. Once you, अच्छा, also don't force yourself. This is very important. Guru Dev used to say, don't force yourself, but don't force your mind to think on a certain thing. It should go naturally. So unless you read, आप अध्यात्म करें, अध्यात्म नित्य, listen to a teacher very consistently, think about what the teacher had said. Not this class खत्म हुआ, किताब बंद करी रखी, उसके बाद चलो आइसक्रीम खाने चलते हैं. The moment you do that, all that the teacher has said to you goes out of your mind, isn't it? So ये चीज, please remember that once you have calmed the mind, stay with it a little. Stay with it. When Gurudev used to take meditation classes and Upanishad classes in the morning, he never used to allow us to talk. Whether we went for tea or anything, he used to say, stay quiet, and don't sit with anybody, don't walk with anybody, don't chat up with anybody. Be by yourself Go and sit quietly somewhere in the ashram, or go to the forest, sit near a hill, and then contemplate on what I have said. Carry the peace with you and live with that peace. Try to apply that peace to your life. Try to think, what are the situations in my life that disturb me? If you follow your thoughts, you will immediately get to know what are the things that are troubling you, and also you will get to know why they have the power to trouble you. They have the power to trouble you because of your attachment to a certain situation or a certain thing. Think about it deeply. This is a deep fact. So, once you tell yourself that no, don't think about this, don't think about it, you will think about it. The Gurudev has given an example which he gave to us also, is a bald headed man. Supposing you say that I will not think of a bald headed man. Rest assured that the moment you get up in the morning next day, the first thought that will come to your mind is a bald headed man, because you are forcing the mind into a thinking in a certain way. It will not happen. So don't force your mind in a negative way कि ये नहीं, not this, not this, not this. Don't do that. I will not do this, I will not do this, I will not think this, I will not. ऐसे नहीं करो. But think about it positively. Turn your mind into a positive direction of surrender to the Lord, surrender to that supreme intelligence, to that supreme power. Okay, surrender to him and say that I have understood that you are the reality of my life. All the rest is temporary. Mind, intellect, thoughts, body, everything is going to vanish like this. It can vanish in a second. And I have understood that there is your power within me, enabling this dead flesh bones packet to move about, to think, to talk, to feel. Even emotions and thoughts cannot happen, ideas cannot come unless he enables that intelligence from inside. Huh? So start thinking on these lines rather than negative lines. So over here now come to the next. Their desires completely at rest. There means the sadhaks. जो साधक हैं, who are moving in this direction or following these disciplines, when their desires come to a complete halt. देखो वो बहुत मुश्किल है. Desire towards the objects of love, and as I said last time also, desire towards the objects of hate. Hmm? You keep getting negative thoughts towards the object of hate, don't you? हाँ. So ये है, watch your thoughts and you will know your enemies. Carefully, watch your thoughts and you will know your enemies. What is the thought? Of whom is the thought that is disturbing you? Honestly, honest introspection, do honest introspection. The thought of anybody in the family or outside the family, friend or not a friend, co worker or whosoever it is, that one thought keeps disturbing your mind, keeps disturbing your mind. Isn't that your enemy? Isn't that thought your enemy? Change the thought. Change the thought into a positive one towards that person, towards that situation, to whatever it is, gain or loss or what. Change it. And when you change it and understand the temporary nature of things, you may change, that person may change, and the situation may change. It will change. So why are you hung up onto that one thing? And you, by hanging up on that, you are totally destroying your peace of mind. So any kind of desire, whether the desire is to harm an individual, or the desire is that you may get something, or the desire is to full of love for someone, just release it from your mind, just give it up from your mind to be at peace. And once you give it up and once you drop it, you will notice at once your mind becomes peaceful. How does it matter? The Lord has looked after you always, hasn't He? He's given you such beautiful situations in life, given you such a beautiful family. Everything He has given you, a beautiful body, mind, and intellect, a healthy body, which everybody doesn't have. Think. So be more thankful for it rather than some desire which I have not got, which I think is very important and I must get for my happiness. How do you know? You may get that and then feel miserable after getting that. Mil to gaya, but how much of pain it brings with you, how much of worry that brings with you don't know. Okay. Now, the next one is released from the pairs of opposites like pleasure and pain. This is also very, very, very difficult. You, it is a very difficult situation unless you have total vairagya. And vairagya कैसे? You know, vairagya tab hota hai where you can see that objects which are pleasurable for other people are a pain for you. Then understand कि आपको उस चीज से वैराग्य है ना? आपको उस वस्तु से वैराग्य है. नॉन वेजिटेरियन, हाँ, he finds joy in the dead flesh of animals and birds. If you are a vegetarian, do you envy him? No, you don't. So you have total vairagya from non-vegetarian food, isn't it? You have a total vairagya from non-vegetarian food. So when non-vegetarian food cannot give you a whiff of joy, it can also not give you a hint of sorrow. वो ले जाए कोई तो बहुत अच्छा, और वहीं पटक दे तो बहुत अच्छा. You don't crave for it कि हाय हाय मुझे नहीं मिला तो मुझे दुख है. Isn't it? सोच के देखो, सोच के and apply this very thing to every object in the world, every single object in the world. If you don't desire it, that object is innocent. It can neither give you joy nor it can give you sorrow. You have given it up. An old discarded toy. You grew up. That toy is lying there. Whether somebody takes it or throws it or it breaks or what happens to it, does it give you any sorrow? No. And playing with it, does it give you joy? No. Think about it. Think about it. This is something to think very deeply because pleasure and pain are equal. Only your mind judges something as pain, and your mind alone judges something as pleasure. Pain and pleasure come at a level. If that thing cannot give you joy, it cannot also give you pain. ये सोच के देखना ध्यान से वो टाइम से. If something cannot give you joy, it cannot also give you pain. Or this is the situation of everything in life. It is your own mind's craving that goes on asking, I want this, I want this, I want this. And then around in the world, there is no stability. Hmm? Things that gave you joy yesterday have started giving you pain today. That is what happens to a lot of love marriages or any marriage for that matter, bhaiya. I'm only saying, haven't you seen it? What gave somebody great joy? They were dying to marry each other and they marry each other. Now they are dying to give up each other. Seen it or not? Yes. The objects are the same. Everything has changed. See, in every experience, there are three things: thinker, thought, and thought of. Thinker, the thought, and the thought of object. Now think about it. Let me come to the first one, the thinker. Okay. You are thinking of something that I love this, I love this, I love this. Okay. Now your mind has reached a point of satiety where you feel, I don't want this anymore. You've seen something higher than that. Huh? A boy gives up a girl because he sees another much more beautiful, much more loving, much more kind, much more generous, much more whatever. And he gives this girl up and starts loving that one. What has happened? The thinker has changed. So the entire experience changes, doesn't it? Okay. Now then the thought changes. पहले तो thinker खुद बदला, है ना? He was a good man. The girl loved him because he was a very nice, straight, good man. Then he suddenly becomes a drunkard. He becomes a crook. He becomes a cheater. Then what has happened? That thinker has changed. Now the thought changes. Your own thoughts change. You love, then you hate. Okay? Then the thought of changes. I loved her. She changed. Where is the love gone? She has changed because she falls in love with someone else. What happened to you? So, your happiness, your joy, and your sorrow is dependent on the whims and fancies of objects, emotions, thoughts that keep on changing. All these three things, objects, emotions, thoughts, is a world of change, continuous world of change. Not only are objects, emotions, and thoughts a world of change, but the person who feels the emotions, the person who feels and who thinks, all these things also change. Emotions change, thoughts change, feelings change, don't they? So when you are dancing in a world of change all the time and you are expecting a permanent joy from it, how can you get a permanent joy from something that is constantly dancing, constantly changing, and you are constantly trying to steady it? हो ही नहीं सकता. It is absolutely impossible. So it is the mind, the fancies of the mind, the unsteadiness of the mind, the up and down of the mind, the turbulent nature of the mind, the ephemeral character of the mind that harms you. You have to learn to control the mind to a poise. And how do you do that? By practicing all these six disciplines that are given over here. Now ये जो चीजें हैं देखो. Now Krishna says that, see, it is almost, Gurudev has written that this is the force of a commandment. ये जो last का है, गच्छन्त मूढ़ा पदम व्ययम तत्. So if you do all these, then you, as I said, effortlessly swim into that state of perfect joy, a spontaneously you go, you glide in, you swim in to that state of joy. And at the end, the experience as such, the divine moment of infinite realization. Realization, once it comes, then it is an objectless joy. It is a joy that does not depend on anything. It does not depend on objects, emotions, and thoughts. All the world of objects is minused. Emotions and thoughts you have conquered, they are at your command. You are not dancing to their command. ठीक है ना? And so you have gathered the rays of consciousness inside you. You have controlled them. You have turned them. You have inverted them to reach inside and try to figure out what is the reality of me, what is the place of me, and that is what is the maximum that I mean, if you follow these disciplines, then these watch your mind all the time, watch your mind and follow these disciplines, grow out of things which cannot give you permanent joy, because unless and until you constantly remind yourself of what are you chasing, what are you running after, you will never get vairagya. And if you don't get vairagya, you have to logic it out. You don't force yourself. Logic it out. And if you have any intelligence here, you will yourself understand that I am running after something that can never give me joy. A little pleasure it gives you and then snatches it from you. A little pleasure it gives you and then snatches it from you. You want to keep living like that? Crying and laughing, jumping up and down, up and down, up and down. But once you reach this Paramadhama, the Krishna's address, he's giving his address, that is Padama Vyayam Tata. Gachanti Mudha, Amudha. Amudha means the undeluded. Amudha. Mood means foolish. And a mood means that person who is not deluded, who has clear thinking about everything. He reaches me, he reaches the goal, which is the Param Dhama. So the next verse we will do next time. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.